All right, today we're jumping into something called the Traffic Engine Token, or TET for short. Now, this thing is a digital ecosystem, but it comes with a pretty huge promise to build a massive community, like from the ground up, and do it super fast. So the big question is, how? Well, let's dive in and find out. Okay, so when you hear traffic engine, you might be thinking about cars or website clicks, right? But forget all that. In this digital world, it's all about people. We're talking about how you can get a huge number of people to jump on board with a brand new project and do it practically overnight. How is that even possible?
The best way to think about it is like a giant, powerful magnet. The whole point of this traffic engine is to be so compelling, so attractive, that it just pulls in tons of users. And not just users, but also the funding you need to get a whole financial ecosystem off the ground. That's really the core idea we're going to unpack here.
All right, let's get down to brass tacks. What exactly is this traffic engine token?
Okay, so on the surface, TET is a digital asset, but, its real job is all about recruitment. It's basically the main tool they're using to get millions of people to sign up, which is what they need to kickstart this whole new financial world.
The project itself uses a pretty cool analogy. They say TET is like the first stage of a rocket. It's that massive initial booster that provides all the thrust. And the whole system? It runs on its own, using smart contracts in something they call a chain scroll model. All that really means is the rules are set in stone and automated. And their goal? Well, it's a big one. Build a member pool of millions of people in just 3 to 5 years. Wow. And that rocket isn't just flying aimlessly. It's headed somewhere specific. As you can see here, TET is really just the first part of a bigger 3-part plan. The idea is to use TET to bring all these users into DrixPay, which is a payment platform, and Fusion, which is a public blockchain. So think of it this way. TET is the front door, DrixPay is where you actually do stuff in the real world, and Fusion is the tech that holds it all together.
Okay, whenever you hear about a system like this, your mind probably jumps straight to safety and stability, right? And that's super important. So let's take a look at the safety features the project says are baked right into its design. So according to their documents, stability rests on 5 main pillars. First up, there's no central piggy bank holding everyone's money. Transactions go straight from user to user. Second, the rules are supposedly set in stone. They say the smart contracts have abandoned permissions, which is a fancy way of saying not even the creators can go back and change things. Third, it's all out in the open. Every transaction is on the blockchain for anyone to see. Fourth, it's a deflationary model, meaning the total number of tokens is meant to go down, not up, over time. And last but not least, they point to their financial licenses in the US and Hong Kong as a sign of legitimacy. All right, so we've talked about the what and the why. Now for the big question. How do you actually earn anything in this ecosystem? Well, let's kick things off with the first method, which they call node staking.
The idea here is actually pretty straightforward. Staking just means you lock up your tokens in something called a node, and when you do that, you're promised a fixed return of 30% every cycle. The documents actually have a nice little analogy for this. They compare it to raising chickens to lay eggs. It's meant to be a predictable, steady stream of output. So here's what that looks like in the real world. You can see there are different tiers. You can stake as little as 100 TET or go all the way up to 5,000. And when a cycle ends, you get your initial amount back plus that 30% profit. Super simple. You put in 1,000, you get 1,300 back. And right now, one of these cycles lasts for 55 days. But here's where it gets really interesting. The real secret sauce seems to be in reinvesting your earnings. Let's walk through this example. Say you start with a 3,000 TET node. That's going to generate about 78 TET a day for you. But get this, after only 2 days, you've earned enough to open a new 100 TET node. Now your daily output is even higher. A few days later, you can open a 300 TET node. You see what's happening? It's all about that compounding effect. By about day 16, you've earned enough to open a 1,000 TET node, and that's when your daily earnings really start to take off. So you've got this compounding thing going on, but what if you could take it even further? Well, that brings us to the second way to earn, referral acceleration. This one is pretty simple in concept. It's all about building a team. You refer someone, they refer someone, and so on. Pretty soon you've got this multi-level structure, kind of like what you're seeing on screen. And that structure, that's the secret to speeding up your earnings. So what does that actually mean for your wallet? Well, if you just fly solo, your earnings are based purely on what you've staked yourself. But if you build a team, you can get what they call an acceleration bonus. We're talking a 3% bonus based on the output of your team, and it goes down a whopping 20 levels.
Now, here's a really important point. This bonus doesn't get taken from their earnings. It's a totally separate reward that just makes your own cycle go faster.
Okay, and that leads us right into the third and final way to earn, and this one is really geared towards the community leaders out there. It's called VIP dividends. So where does this money come from? Well, every time someone makes a withdrawal from the system, there's a 15% handling fee. But that fee doesn't just vanish into thin air. Nope, it goes into a special pool that's set aside just for VIP members. And that pool of money gets paid out every single day, split between 5 different VIP levels. As you can see from this chart, the highest level, V1, gets the biggest piece of the pie, 30% of the daily pool. And then the shares get a bit smaller as you go down the levels. It's a pretty clear incentive to not just build, but also support a big and active community. So, how do you get in on this VIP action? To hit that first level V1, you need to help get 3 different community branches up and running. And then to level up from there, say to V2, you have to help one person in each of your 3 branches get to V1. It's this help others to help yourself idea that goes all the way up to V5. Okay, so now you can see how it all fits together, right? You have staking for your base return, referrals to speed things up, and VIP dividends for building a big community. It's all connected. But of course, there's the elephant in the room with any system like this. What happens if you're the very last person to join? The project has an answer for that. They claim that even the last person can exchange their TET for computing power on that future Fusion blockchain. So, in theory, that acts as a kind of safety net to prevent a total loss.
So, when you put it all together, the TET model is a really fascinating mix, isn't it? You've got fixed returns, you've got compounding growth, and these really powerful community incentives. And it all leaves us with one pretty big question to chew on. Could economic models like this one, models that are built from the ground up to reward recruitment, fundamentally change how we build and fund online communities in the future? It's definitely something worth thinking about.